Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja, who was until yesterday was vying for Nairobi governor's seat, has suffered a biggest blow from the Commission of University Education. And in this video, I'm going to look at how this decision of the University of Education to revoke the degree of Sakaja has deflated William Ruto's Nairobi vote basket. But before we get there, let us answer a very pertinent question here. Why do you think William Ruto went for Sakaja? And in politics, things change very fast. The truth of the matter here is that Sakaja, no one is questioning the ability or the leadership skills of Johnson Sakaja. And I also appreciate this narrative in the public that perhaps leadership is not pegged on the academic certificates that someone's having. However, it is a requirement by IEBC for you to have a degree certificate to vie for governor. So I don't think that narrative really sells. But then, last year in February, Johnson Sakaja was a staunch supporter of Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I remember in one of our church services here in Nairobi, he deconstructed William Ruto's bottom-up economic model.
Wale wanazunguka wanasema ati wao watatoa pesa wapatie watu kwa directly. Ati bottom up. Ati atoe pesa apatie kila mtu ambaye anafanya biashara ndogo. Unajua Kenya hii hata kama hatuna pesa wote sisi sio wajinga. Na hata niwaambie tu kwa mfano. Wale ambao wanafanya kazi ndogo ndogo ile artisans. Unajua artisans? Wale wako kwa market wanajenga maseremala, wale wanajenga vitu ya chuma, Kenya mzima ni milioni 7. Haya, wale ambao ni hawkers. Si mnajua hawkers? Na wale wanafanya biashara kwa market. Biashara na ambao tunawaheshimu na Kenya mzima milioni 4. Hao watu wote ni milioni 22. 22 million Kenyans in the informal economy. Ukiamua kuwapatia wote ati pesa 100,000. Je, wanasema watawapea 100,000? Hiyo ni trilioni 2, 2.2 trillion. Na budget ya Kenya ni trilioni 3.
Now, that is Sakaja speaking in a church service. No one would ever think of possibility of Sakaja leaving his longest friend, President Uhuru Kenyatta, to go and work with his enemy, William Samoei Ruto. But why do you think, despite the fact that William Ruto knew very well that Sakaja was close to Uhuru, he went for Sakaja? How Sakaja got himself to UDA was for two reasons. Remember, after Mike Sonko was ousted from the Nairobi governor seat, there were calls for parties, for candidates there was a call for a by-election, even though later on that by-election didn't happen. By that time, William Ruto only had one formidable candidate. That was Bishop Margaret Wanjiru. But again, he did not have a lot of confidence in Margaret Wanjiru. And at that moment, he realized that many politicians around in UDA, despite the fact that UDA is a party that was enjoying fanatical support in Nairobi, few people were showing interest in Nairobi governor's seat. And were it not for him going for Sakaja, maybe he would have handed a certificate to Margaret Wanjiru, a direct certificate. So what was hatched is a deal by under influence of Kipchumba Murkomen, so that Cleophas Malala and Johnson Sakaja would then coalesce around Musalia Mudavadi and they be part of a deal to take Musalia Mudavadi to William Ruto. And I want to believe in return, the two will find their way in the governor's race. If you look at it, Malala is in Kakamega, vying through ANC, going through troubles there. Back in Nairobi, a last-minute deal will see Margaret Wanjiru step down for Johnson Sakaja. And That is what happened. And up to now, it's not yet clear whether he's a UDA candidate or is an ANC candidate. So, the reason why William Ruto brought Sakaja was, first, he wanted to gather the Luhya vote in Nairobi. And remember, Sakaja was associated first with Musalia Mudavadi before crossing over to UDA. Two, he needed a popular candidate in Nairobi.
Tuheshimu wageni wetu, tuwapende na tuwaongeleshe vizuri. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Wewe vijana, hakuna.
Again, in Nairobi, there are deep interests. So after the degree certificate saga emerged, Oscar Sudi went to his Twitter page and he shared a tweet that I want to share with you guys. Because in that tweet, he divulged why exactly Sakaja is not on ballot. Oscar Sudi is one of the spokespeople in UDA and also going through the same troubles. Uhuru Kenyatta is pushing Sakaja Johnson to the wall. He personally made a call to someone in Uganda, of which I will soon disclose. Regardless of these schemes, we know that the court will serve justice to Sakaja. IBC should stand firm in its grounds and maintain status quo. So that tells you how exactly things are panning out. Who is this person that the president can? And do you think the president has an interest in this seat? As I said before, the Nairobi seat are deep interest. Deep. In the second term of Uhuru's government, he worked with the military to do a couple of projects in Nairobi under the NMS. And this is a seat, this is the center of the seat. For the first time, the Kikuyu nation wants to take control of Nairobi County. They have not been. Uhuru is stepping back from, is returning from presidency. And I think they have also realized that if they are not going to have the presidency, then at least they must have the governor of Nairobi. So they're deep interested here. Let's try to divulge this tweet on Oscar Sudi. This is what Oscar Sudi is saying. Remember, at yesterday, there was a lobby group that wrote to Ugandan administration, asking them for some documents from that team's university. Interestingly, the Minister of Education and Sports in Uganda is Museveni's wife, Janet Museveni. Museveni is the closest friend to to President Uhuru Kenyatta and is not now close to William Ruto. By the way, it is very delicate balance because even Museveni's wife is believed to had procured a certificate from Kenya. Even his certificate is also questionable. When I was doing some tabloids in Uganda, that also emerged. So they wanted Museveni's wife, who is the Minister of Education, to compel the team's university to provide the letter of admission for Sakaja, payment of school fees, nominal roll to show whether he was doing coursework or whether he attended classes, and just other things. Now, what Sakaja did, Sakaja decided not to go through that process, and instead what Sakaja did was to then circumvent the case, saying that one person, I think one of the judges, should be dropped from that tribunal. He again raised some clerical issues on his name that was wrong spelled, not Johnson Koskei Sakaja, is Johnson Athur Sakaja. There were a lot of other things he raised, but then he did not face, and by the way, up to the time Commission of University Education was revoking that degree certificate, Johnson Sakaja had refused to provide a proof that he graduated in that university. From where I am, that degree might not be fake, but it is not legit. Honestly, I think Sakaja must really convince Kenyans that he went to school between 2012 and 2016. He was studying there. He was studying online. Why do people opt for online courses? Number one, An online course will not go for 4 years, honestly. It will have gone for 2 years. That's why you'll go online. You take karakaraka. Because most likely you might not take long holidays. So Sakaja wants to convince Kenyans that he was studying online and was taking long holidays. Number two, he was a nominated member of parliament. So he has the resource to even travel to Uganda. At no point could it be if that he was studying there genuinely, he would have at least gone there even once. He has the capacity, he has the money, he could. So the truth of the matter here is that university degree probably was procured for this. Now, the deep interest in Nairobi have then eroded Sakaja from the race. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at why or how Sakaja's trouble in Nairobi or exit in Nairobi politics, imminent exit in Nairobi politics, is affecting William Ruto's presidential vote exactly here in Nairobi. Kindly subscribe to our channel and also click the notification bell so that when we publish a video, you will be notified. Johnson Sakaja's fate in Nairobi politics is one that is very satirical. The same reason he was brought in Nairobi, the Nairobi race, is the same reason he is leaving. He was brought in that race so that he would attract votes for William Samoei Ruto. And Ruto needed a popular candidate here in Nairobi. At one point, there was an altercation. I think it was in Westlands, when Margaret Wanjiru and Sakaja were even almost fighting. This showed that William Ruto was lacking a popular candidate, and she would not try and trust Margaret Wanjiru to deliver the Nairobi vote, because the truth is Nairobi politics is a bit more tribal. Kalenjin, the Kalenjin nation is not really a dominant tribe here in the city. The dominant tribes is Kamba, Kikuyu, Luhya, and Luo. So if you get Sakaja was also a very good candidate to solve the Luhya vote. He was actually the Luhya vote bait. However, that bait has collapsed. Any other candidate that William Ruto's party might front in Nairobi politics is not going to make a consequential impact. Why? Because that candidate is going to face the wrath of William Ruto's own self-made narrative of Azimio imposing leaders on people. Remember when Igathe was brought in after Ngatia was removed from the race, and I now agree that Ngatia was removed from that race on the basis of papers. It is most likely, and that's why he did not protest. Any other person who was removed, like Agnes Kagure, is back as an independent candidate. It will not be, Ngatia will not become a pushover if he didn't have issues like the ones of the papers. So, what might have happened is that what can happen is whoever candidate that William Ruto might bring into that position, first is a latecomer. Second, he might not get a formidable Nairobi candidate. Third, that candidate is going to suffer criticism from Nairobi residents because he will be self-imposed. He will be imposed on the people, and it is going to make it very difficult for UDA. Now, if you look at it critically, you will also realize that Sakaja's fate seems to have poured cold water on Uhuru's critics, even within Nairobi. The leaders who criticize Uhuru and perhaps have academic queries have toned down. I'm waiting for, I've seen Oscar Sudi going to Twitter to respond. I'm waiting for Kimani Ngunjiri from Nakuru to say something. I don't know whether he's going to say anything, because people that have queries of papers are so many. And this trigger that was just pulled, because the truth of the matter is Sakaja's troubles was triggered by the deep state. The trigger by the deep state to make sure that they get done with Sakaja's candidature is sending a warning and sending cold water to William Ruto luminaries that attack president. That is going to deflate campaigns, and Nairobi's vote would really be a challenge. I want to believe that as much as people might look at it that Sakaja is being blocked because he can beat Igade, it is more than that. Sakaja is not just a competitor to Igade, but Sakaja was a bait by Deputy President to win the Nairobi vote. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my bold analysis.